Let's get right into it. Number 10. The ghost footprints of white sands. Scientists found footprints from 12,000 years ago in New Mexico's White Sands National Park. They call them ghost tracks because they only appear when conditions are just right. When the ground is too wet or too dry, they're invisible. The tracks show an adult, probably a woman based on the foot size, carrying a child, and she was running for over a mile through ground that was like wet cement. You can see where she slipped. Sometimes the child's feet dangled down and left marks too. Alongside her tracks, scientists found giant sloth tracks, a ground sloth the size of a modern elephant. These things could stand up on their hind legs and had massive claws. The tracks show the woman crossed the sloth's path several times. Each time the sloth stopped and reared up on its hind legs, it was hunting them. The woman kept changing direction, probably trying to confuse the sloth, but she never stopped running, never put the child down. These tracks were preserved in ground that already had mammoth footprints. The tracks eventually disappear into the ancient lake bed. We'll never know if she made it. Number 9. Ancient dental work. Imagine being an archaeologist digging around in Pakistan, expecting to find some old pots or maybe a cool ancient coin. You find a 9,000-year-old skull with perfect little holes drilled in the teeth, not rough, jagged holes like you'd expect from ancient tools. We're talking precise, clean holes that look like they were done by a modern dentist. So either our ancestors were way more advanced than we thought, or someone with a time machine really needed a root canal. These weren't just random holes. They were actual dental work, early fillings and attempts to treat tooth decay. These ancient dentists were using some kind of primitive filling material. The drilling was so precise that it rarely cracked the enamel around the hole. That's something even modern dentists sometimes struggle with. Number 8. The ghost people of Siberia. In 2008, scientists found a tiny finger bone in a remote Siberian cave. The bone was about the size of a tic-tac, buried deep underground. At first, they thought it was just another Neanderthal bone, but when they ran DNA tests, their jaws dropped. This wasn't a Neanderthal or a modern human. It was something completely different. They had discovered a whole new species of ancient humans. Scientists named them the Denisovans, after the cave where they were found. An entire branch of our family tree was discovered from a piece of bone smaller than your pinky. It's like finding out you have a long-lost cousin, except this cousin lived 50,000 years ago and was built like a tank. These Denisovans were adapted to living in cold, high-altitude places that would make most of us pass out from lack of oxygen. Some modern Tibetans can thank these ancient ghost people for their ability to live high up in the mountains. The cave where they found this finger bone was like an ancient apartment complex. Different species of humans were living there at different times. Sometimes they even lived there together. Scientists found jewelry and tools in the cave. Some of us are walking around with Denisovan DNA right now. If you've got ancestors from Asia or Oceania, you might be up to 6% Denisovan. So next time you're really good at hiking in the mountains, thank your ancient ghost relatives. Number 7. The Pit of Bones, Cima de los Huesos, or the Pit of Bones. This place is a 50-foot deep ancient murder mystery. Scientists found the remains of at least 28 people down there, all dating back 400,000 years. There are no other animal bones mixed in with them. No cave bears, no wolves, nothing. Just humans. The bones belong to people of all ages, from teenagers to adults. They all show signs of being thrown down there on purpose. The craziest part is, this is the oldest known mass grave ever found. These people lived way before writing was invented, before pyramids, before pretty much everything we consider civilization. They were so ancient that scientists aren't even sure if they were modern humans or a different species called Homo heidelbergensis. We're looking at a murder mystery where we're not even sure what species the victims were. Among all these bones, scientists found one tool, just one, a hand axe made of red quartzite, carefully crafted and completely out of place. It's like discovering a modern blueprint in a knight's tomb. Some scientists think it might have been some kind of offering, like throwing a flower on a grave. The pit has been nicknamed the world's first cemetery, but most cemeteries don't involve throwing bodies down a 50-foot shaft. This is more like the world's first crime scene. Number 6. The Sanxingdui Masks. Back in 1986, archaeologists in Sichuan, China, uncovered 2 sacrificial pits filled with bizarre artifacts. Inside were bronze masks that look straight out of a sci-fi movie. These masks have massive bulging eyes that stick out several inches from the face. Some of them are nearly 2 feet tall, with strange geometric patterns and features that don't look human at all. These masks don't match any other Chinese art from that time period. They just appeared out of nowhere, with no evolution of style or previous versions. These masks are about 3,000 years old, from the Bronze Age, but the technology used to make them shouldn't have existed back then. The bronze casting techniques are so advanced that modern scientists still can't figure out exactly how they did it. Some researchers think the masks might represent shamanic visions or ancient gods. Others suggest they're depicting visitors from somewhere else, but the civilization that made these masks just vanished. No trace of where they went or why they left. All their knowledge and their advanced metalworking techniques disappeared. And when they found these pits, all the artifacts were deliberately broken and buried. Number 5. The Atacama Whale Graveyard. Imagine walking through the driest desert on Earth and suddenly stumbling upon whales. Not just one whale, but over 40 of them, perfectly preserved. This is exactly what scientists found in Chile's Atacama Desert. Finding whales in a desert is about as normal as finding a penguin in a sauna. These weren't just any whales. Some of them belonged to extinct species we'd never seen before. Massive prehistoric beasts, some bigger than a school bus, in the middle of a desert. The weirdest part is they were all found together, like some kind of ancient whale social club that went horribly wrong. Scientists think these whales died about 7 million years ago, back when this desert was actually underwater, but the skeletons are perfectly preserved. Usually when a whale dies in the ocean, its body gets torn apart by scavengers, but these whales look like they just laid down for a nap and never woke up. Some of them even still had their baleen. That's the filter feeding stuff in their mouths that usually rots away super fast. The scientists found something else too. Ancient penguin fossils right next to the whales. The really mind-bending part is that these fossils are now about 2,000 feet above sea level. Either these whales were ambitious climbers, or the ground pushed them up over millions of years. It was the ground moving. Number 4. The Movile Cave Ecosystem. The year is 1986. And Romanian scientists just drilled into what they thought was just another limestone cave. But what they found was basically an alien world right here on Earth. You're climbing down through a tiny shaft, barely big enough for your body. The air gets thicker, hotter, and starts to smell like rotten eggs. Your oxygen meter starts beeping because the air has almost no oxygen, but it's loaded with hydrogen sulfide. You'll die if you stay down there too long without special gear. And this cave is full of life, not just a few tough bacteria, but an entire ecosystem of creatures that have never seen the sun. Spiders, scorpions, and centipedes, all living in complete darkness. These creatures have been evolving separately from their surface cousins for 5.5 million years. Most of them are completely blind, pale as ghosts, and have extra long antennae to feel their way around. These creatures don't eat dead leaves or other normal food that falls from above. Instead, they survive on a diet of strange bacteria that literally eat rocks and toxic gases. Scientists have found 48 species in this cave that exist nowhere else on Earth. In fact, they'd probably die if they tried to live in our world. They've adapted so perfectly to their poisonous paradise that normal air would be toxic to them. Number 3. The Oklo Natural Nuclear Reactor. Imagine you're a scientist in 1972 working at a uranium processing plant in France. You're doing routine tests when suddenly your equipment starts going crazy. The uranium you're testing is missing something important. This discovery led scientists to a uranium mine in Gabon, Africa, and what they found there changed everything we thought we knew about nuclear power. They discovered that Mother Nature beat us to inventing nuclear reactors by about 1.7 billion years. There was a natural nuclear reactor just chilling underground before dinosaurs even existed. Back then, the Earth had way more uranium-235 than we have today. That's the stuff we use in nuclear power plants. And in this specific spot in Gabon, all the right conditions came together like a cosmic recipe. You had uranium-rich rocks, you had groundwater acting as a coolant, and you had the perfect arrangement of minerals to keep the reaction going. Nature accidentally built a nuclear power plant. This natural reactor ran for hundreds of thousands of years. It would power up for about 30 minutes, then shut down for 2.5 hours, over and over again. It managed its own waste better than we do, and it never had a meltdown in all those years. Number 2. The Screaming Mummy. When archaeologists found unknown man E in an ancient Egyptian tomb, they came face to face with a mummy frozen mid-scream. This mummy was different from all the others. Most Egyptian mummies look peaceful, like they're taking a really long nap. But this guy looks like he's living through his worst nightmare. His face is twisted in absolute agony, mouth wide open, like he's trying to let out one final scream. This mummy wasn't given the royal treatment like most others. Instead of being carefully preserved, he was wrapped in sheep or goat skin, which was considered unclean by ancient Egyptians. The weirdest part is his hands and feet were bound tight. Mummies usually had their arms crossed peacefully over their chest, but this guy was tied up like he was being punished. Scientists think they might know who he was, Prince Pentawir, son of Ramses III. According to ancient documents, this prince tried to murder his own father in what's now called the harem conspiracy. The plot failed, and the prince was caught. He was then forced to take his own life by drinking poison. The poison would explain the horrific expression. They found him in a plain coffin marked with the label Unknown Man E. Someone wanted to erase him from history. They didn't just kill him, they tried to make sure he'd suffer in the afterlife too. The sheepskin wrapping was basically ancient Egypt's way of saying you're cursed. This mummy isn't just screaming, he's literally frozen in the moment of his death. They found him in a side chamber, hidden away from all the other mummies, like they wanted to make sure he was alone for eternity. Number 1. The Naica Mines Crystal Cave. Imagine walking into your basement and finding a crystal kingdom that looks like Superman's Fortress of Solitude. That's exactly what happened to some miners in Mexico, except it was 1,000 feet underground. In 2000, these guys were just doing their regular mining work when they broke through a wall and found something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Picture crystals the size of telephone poles, some of them 36 feet long. These aren't your hippie ants healing crystals either. They're selenite crystals, and they're so clear you can see right through them. This cave is basically nature's pressure cooker. The temperature inside is 136 degrees Fahrenheit, with 99% humidity. It's like being inside a pot of boiling soup. Think about when you open your dishwasher right after it finishes, and that blast of hot steam hits your face. This cave is way worse than that. Without special cooling suits, humans can only survive in there for about 10 minutes before their organs start cooking. Scientists who study the cave have to wear suits that look like something from Chernobyl. These suits aren't just for show. They're packed with ice and have special breathing equipment. Even with all that gear, they can only stay inside for 45 minutes at a time. Imagine making rock candy, but instead of taking a few days, it takes 500,000 years. That's how long these crystals have been growing, fed by mineral-rich water heated by magma deep below. This place was only found by a complete fluke. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.